You've probably heard some people claim that the recovery rate for COVID-19 is 99.96%. Or perhaps you've heard the fatality rate is 0.06% or some other very low number. One of the methods used for these calculations involves calculating the amount of deaths relative to the population. I'm going to call this Donnie's danger calculator. I'm going to show you some examples and expose the flaw in this method. The methodology employed could be written as danger equals the amount of deaths relative to the population. In the US, the population is just over 330 million. COVID deaths are at 212,000. 212,000 is equal to 0.06% of the entire population. Some people would describe that as a 99.94% recovery rate or 0.06% fatality rate. I'll give you a few quick examples, and hopefully a light bulb will start to turn on for you. First, I'll just give you a simple response that doesn't really give an explanation. The simple answer is that it doesn't take into account the fact that viruses can spread, depending on our actions and our behavior. In the first 6 months of the Spanish flu, it only killed a small fraction of the total amount that it did kill between 1918 and 1920. If you would have done Donnie's danger calculator in the first 6 months, it also would have looked like a very small number, a very insignificant number. Now let's consider drug overdoses. Start to take this apart. The US has been having around 70,000 drug overdoses, drug fatalities per year. If we plug those numbers into Donnie's danger calculator, we have 330 million people, 70,000 deaths. This equals 0.02% of the population, or if we use the same rationale or way to describe it, it would be 99.98% recovery rate. So should we conclude that smoking crack is very safe? Hopefully you're already starting to think of some of the issues. Two more examples and then I'll explain what's wrong. STDs. In 2018, there were 15,820 deaths from HIV, somewhere between 8 to 10,000 deaths from hepatitis C, 33 from syphilis. If we would combine all the numbers together from all the different STDs, the highest total I found was 93,000. In Donnie's danger calculator, that comes out to 0.028%. We could round it up to 0.03% or a 99.97% recovery rate. One more example, which will start to make all of these issues clearer: shark fatalities. As of September 2020, only 2 in the USA have died from shark attacks. If we put that into Donnie's danger calculator, we would get a ridiculously low percentage. I'm not even going to work that out. So should we conclude that smoking crack or mainlining heroin is safe? What about unprotected sex with prostitutes or swimming with sharks? The first problem with Donnie's danger calculator is in that it lacks situationality. We need to consider both location and the concept of time. All of this is more easily seen when we consider sharks, but it appears in each of these examples. If you are in Texas, you are not at risk for a shark attack. If you never go to the ocean, you have no chance of being eaten by a shark. But if someone does, they do have a chance. We need to also consider time, because there is a difference between someone who swims in the ocean once and someone who goes and swims in the ocean every day, almost every day, for many hours. Drug users. Do you do drugs? What kind of drugs do you do? How often do you do them? This is situationality. And when it comes to COVID, someone who has been living in the countryside in New Zealand, where there's hardly any cases, with some very basic precautions, might have less than a lottery chance of getting COVID. Someone who has a small circle of friends and all of them are following safety protocols has a very small chance of getting SARS-CoV-2. But someone who parties with people doing the toilet licking challenge or with known positives has a much higher chance. Now, the first layer is the situation. So are you in the ocean? Are you taking drugs? Are you close to people who might be infected with COVID? The second layer involves a case-specific information. If you do swim in the ocean, what are the chances of being attacked? If you do drugs, what are the chances of buying some that's laced with fentanyl? Regarding COVID, are there a lot of cases around you? What is your interaction with them like? What are your chances of contact with them? The third layer is event specific. If you are attacked by a shark, what are your chances of surviving? If you acquire COVID, what are your chances of surviving? If we were discussing Russian roulette, all of this would be very simple. If you were in a situation where you were actively playing Russian roulette, you have a 1 in 6 chance of a fatality. Most other things are not that simple. If we plugged in a Donnie's danger calculator, it would give you a low number, but that doesn't give us real information. Donnie's danger calculator can give us a percentage of those who have currently died from drug use or FTDs or COVID, but it can't say anything about the danger to the individual. If you were in the ocean and you saw a shark fin come up behind you, would you try to get out of the water? Would you conclude that everything was fine because Donnie's danger calculator told you that shark fatalities are low? That would be completely irrational. Of course not, because Donnie's danger calculator does not give you enough information. If you like this, hit subscribe. I will make some more on related topics.